the Australian Association of Bush Regenerators 2024 National Forum was hosted by our Victorian branch. Exploring the R's of ecological restoration, restoring biodiversity through resilience, regeneration, reintroduction, and reconnecting to country.
Our next speakers would like to share an innovative, user-friendly app to monitor condition, focusing on resilience elements. Please welcome Ian and Michael Davidson. Ian is an ecologist with over 30 years of experience in native vegetation assessments and providing land management advice. He is the developer of Covram that provides land managers with a framework to make informed decisions about the management of native vegetation. Michael is the tech guy. With a background of engineering, his previous experience includes reviewing emissions calculations in the Sustainability and Climate Change team at PwC, and is the co-founder and CTO of an e-commerce company supplying retailers and individuals across the US and Australia.
Thanks, Alex. For a start, I'll warn you all, I'm a roamer. So I'll be moving around. Probably won't be asking questions unless you close your eyes. So yeah, my journey's been one where I started as a ranger, then I became an ecologist working for government, and decided that wasn't where it was at. And I left there, worked for Greening Australia in New South Wales for a little while, got to know a lot of farmers, a lot of land managers, and since 2002 I've run my own business, working with primarily land managers. And there's the unlocked resource, land managers. They're the people who have most of the native vegetation, most of these areas. And a lot of them are not in any of the conversations. It's experts telling them what the go is. And that's not to say that we don't need experts, we absolutely do. But there's so much expertise that's locked up in these people that live on the land. And we're talking about everything from elders that walk country through to people that have been involved in forestry or managing forests, through to, I work a lot on travelling stock reserves throughout New South Wales and Queensland, the people who understand what grazing effects are, and individual landholders, and councils who manage a fair bit of public land but don't necessarily have high expertise levels. And what struck me as I'm coming to the end of my career is that we haven't advanced the conversation with respect to land managers. We have a lot of awesome individual projects or even groups of little projects, which we've seen some examples of here, that are just tremendous. But as far as actually making a difference across southern Australia, it's a much, much bigger thing, and we need to engage a lot more people. And so I've captured my knowledge, my old school knowledge that was developed, that was filling paper, and tried to develop a system that people can use and build on. So that if you come new into this game or you're a land manager, it uses inclusive language. It doesn't go into the dregs of EVCs or, you know, what the hell is going on with in infinite detail. It goes into what have we broadly got. Anyway, that's the preliminary. So we've got this tool, and there's a problem. And the problem is knowing the condition, not necessarily the type, but the condition of vegetation at a site is absolutely vital to ensure that the most appropriate and sustainable land management decisions are made. If you don't know that, you're dreaming, quite frankly. We've got a second problem. It's the tech guy. There's no standard approach to easily determine the condition of vegetation. We've got this awesome wheel that's being developed that is going to be tremendous once you've zeroed in on what you want to do on a site. But to look across the spread, like for example, you're an environment officer in a council that doesn't have much rate base, and you've got, 43 reserves, you've got a couple of rivers going through the place, and you've got 28 linear reserves. What are you going to do? Apart from buckling to pressure, that people say, well, go and do this. So we don't have a standard approach and a standard language that all the people involved can use. What is available is time-consuming and generally requires a high degree of botanical knowledge, and the results are not broadly comparable across sites. Because that's the thing, point-based surveys are awesome if you've got a good amount of knowledge, but they are not, you cannot extrapolate them, because every site is independent. So to think that, I'll know what's on this 20 by 50 transect and I'll know every species there, that's fantastic. But if your reserve is 100 hectares or 384, or like I'm working at Lake Victoria is 9,800 hectares, it's just not going to cut the mustard. Okay, what's the solution? We reckon it's Covram. So Covram stands for Condition of Vegetation Rapid Assessment Method. I have been chipped about it because it was developed during the middle of COVID and people thought, it's a few negative connotations there. Anyway, the mobile app empowers land managers and practitioners to complete self-assessments of their native vegetation in minutes with suitable training. The Covram assessment can identify sites with high potential to regenerate naturally. That's where we're all on the same page here. You've got to unlock nature. We were meeting with some high-powered investor types in Collins Street yesterday, believe it or not, and one of the things that came out of it was that we're not going to tree plant our way out of this. It's just the issue and the problem is way too big. We've got to unlock nature. We've got to let those natural processes occur. And if we don't have an understanding of what sites can do that, we're really going to struggle. So, Covram assessment can identify sites with high potential to regenerate naturally or require active revegetation techniques and provide other land management recommendations. So to go to Tian's talk earlier, there is a role for various treatments, but if you don't know the condition, simply with Covram, there are 5 condition states. You've got the highest state, which is really a protect and maintain. And you've got the worst state, means that it's completely crap. And really, you've got to question why you're doing anything there. And then you've got 3 sites in the middle, which basically, the upper it is, needs a slight tweak. The ones that's right in the middle needs a bit of assistance to basically stimulate or get those seeds or whatever you require back into the system, or your management techniques of burning or various other treatments are applied. And then and lastly, the lower one, you have to actively do it. You've got to do most of it. Doesn't mean you won't do it. It just means that you've got a triage of what's available and what are we going to do. Okay, well this is what the product looks like. So the small diagram on the left, so it's here somewhere. That's your collection device. It's your phone. Like this, we have a smartphone. It is way big enough and smart enough for us to collect the data we need to do. And so you look there, you see the blue dot, it automatically locates where you are. It has an offline capability, so we work out whoop whoop quite often, and you can load an offline map. And it's developed for field use. It's your data collection device. And then the one on the right, it feeds into the web app. So the web app, it automatically syncs as soon as you come back in to connectivity. It automatically uploads that data into the cloud. Correct? So it's like a library. You have your own library of data going in there with your photos. It's stacking them all and putting them in there. We've got this amazing technology now, and we've got knowledge, collect data, and we can load it up, and we start learning stuff, and we can start doing things for over the decades. What's changing here? Or we can go 10 times in 10 weeks if you want it, because it's not difficult to do. Sorry, the one on the right's just showing it's a bit hard to see. The blue dots there are just some sites across, where would that be? That looks like Lake Urana, so southern New South Wales. And you'll see one dot's been highlighted, and that just takes you into the site. So you can look at the site you've done on your PC. So the methodology, right. So on the right-hand side, it's too hard for you to see, but that's the screen that you open, right? It goes in and you collect some basic data. And for if it's a woodland, it's basically the stuff is the structural layers. Has it got large old trees? Are there woody weeds or vines? And then there's two ground layer things. What's the weediness of this joint? Not particularly what the weed is, but how weedy is it? And the sort of language we use are things like weeds are sparse, because of course they're everywhere. Are they common in parts, like, the classic one, we've got patches of it? Is it common throughout, or are they abundant? Just pick the correct answer of those, gets you in the scene. And then the next one is, for the botanists that are a bit perturbed, we're collecting other data, is the site diverse throughout? And diverse means flowering forbs, things usually non-grasses if it's a grassy system, but those sort of life forms that are commonly removed if the site's more degraded. And then is it common in patches? Like you'll have a nice little area where the butterflies will hang out? Or has it got few species common throughout, which is a classic thing in a lot of our degraded wetlands and a lot of our native pastures now? Or has it got patches of that, or is it all gone? So I think you can see where I'm going with all this. It's fairly common use language. Anyway, it's a proven methodology developed over 30 years and currently used by government and industry. It's flexible, a standardised, repeatable approach that has been successfully applied for thousands of diverse sites. So it's what's been done across all of the TSRs in New South Wales, which is in the thousands and covers more than 500,000 hectares. Okay? And this was the driver to do this third part, applies a numeric score. I always hate numbers because it seems like you're just trying to put things in a box, or say, if it adds to 14, it's got all these things. It's so presumptive that we know this stuff. We don't know it. We're still mostly Europeans trying to live in Australia. We really are. We need to build our body of knowledge. Anyway, we apply a numeric score to characterise key vegetation values to determine condition rating, which integrates with a modified VAST rating. So we've taken Thackway's work, spoken with Richard, and looked at what are the most appropriate levels that the collection of data, the scoring, applies to. So it fits seamlessly into that. And the key thing with VAST is that it helps you understand what is the regenerative capacity of that land. That is a vital element to know. If you don't understand that, so for example, there was a thing, say, using time, right? Time. Well, you do in a lot of cases, but also we have this thing that climate drives so much. So we've just had a bunch of wet summers,
And they're the regeneration events. These are stochastic. They happen when everything's wet. And it's so wet that stock can't graze everywhere, or people can't get on it, or whatever reason, and you get big regeneration events. Now, you've got to be aware of that. It's not just trees, it's all sorts of plants. And this is what the Indigenous people have got right when they walk on country. It's spending time looking around that area and seeing what is actually happening. Instead of, April, I think I'll go out there. It's a nice time of year. It's actually knowing what's happening out there and what is happening after these big events. Because we'll go through a very dry period and you will not get a smidgen. It's like going looking for frogs when you're in the middle of a drought. Don't do it. You're just wasting your time and breath. And then in the app, there's the ability to collect over 20 different data points or pieces of information. However, there's only a handful that are mandatory. So, it just depends on what your bent is or what you're trying to do. So there's different uses. Thanks, Mike. The benefits. Improved decision making. So utilising a broader range of people, for example, volunteers, council staff, etc., through the use of inclusive language. So it's basically broadening out the potential workforce that can contribute valuable information. The standardised approach allows easy benchmarking. You've got to have a point that you're moving from. It's the state it's not the site's fault. It's the way it is. It's what is it like at the point in time when we're starting to look at that site. Detailed and comparable site data to enable improved priority setting. Like, what have we got across that local government area that's got 43 reserves, a couple of rivers and whatever? What state are they in? Which ones need a bit of tweaking? Which ones just need protection? And which ones need the kitchen sink? You know? And maybe the kitchen sink gets it because there's community push to have it. That's all fine, and that might not be a problem, because then all you need to do is monitor and watch your important sites. Provides key data relating to the recovery wheel. So some of this data that's been collected actually goes directly in to feeding data into that recovery wheel. The recovery wheel, the process there is when you've actually opted, this is the site we're going to work on. So it's not an exclusive thing. It's actually the part of the process. The first step on the ladder to make change is actually, what condition have we got? Again, I can't stress that too much. It is a pretty simple thing when you boil it down, but not understanding that means that you are really hoping. Improved coordination. A consistent framework enables clearer communication between land managers, researchers and volunteers. So we can all talk about the same thing. I'm sure there's stuff that you've heard today that's just gone whoosh, over your head. And I'm sure there's other stuff that you think, oh, that's really it. But if you can have the land manager, whoever that is, involved in that conversation and be part of it, that's when you're starting to know that you can make change. Tools to better analyse data at a site, landscape and statewide level. For example, even though we've just been going through the proofing of the system, we've got over 200 users at the moment, and we've got literally over 1,000 sites. And we're getting some bloody awesome maps. And so when you're looking at your PC, these are solid data, and you're looking at your PC, you can actually filter it for various things. You can obviously filter it for its VAST rating or its condition rating, but you can filter it for threatened species, or you can filter it for a range of other things that we collected on. You can see it on the screen. And not only that, you can do a Zoom meeting with a joker up in Queensland or wherever you're at, or the landholder, and you can be looking at the same site and talking about it on the computer. Technology is truly awesome if you can get the right framework. Simplifies short and long-term monitoring to evidence benefits of grant activities. Like, I was around when, remember, what was it called? Was it Telstra, Telecom, whatever, when it was first sold? Remember that? We're all up in bloody arms, you know, you're selling a public, whatever. What a joke that's been. Anyway, and then the third tranche of it or something like that went into Landcare to do you know, make the environment right. We're going to fix it, you know. Politicians were making these big statements. Yeah? Where's the evidence of that? What has been achieved? I'm not saying that there haven't been some awesome projects, but we have absolutely no evidence to say that stuff's been achieved. We have no evidence that these moths that are absolutely awesome, or, you know, I was reading about a certain stick insect that bloody lives on Thermida the other day, and, you know, go watch what you burn, but we've got no evidence to show that we're actually getting somewhere. And again, that is one of my huge frustrations as I come to the end of my career. We've got to start building on knowledge. So I don't want people that are starting in this game to have to spend 30 years to get to my stage. I want them to be up on that first rung already, so that they're going to be, the next round of people are going to be multi-layers up. And something that, you know, sorry, go back, mate. And something that I'm sure most people, especially volunteers, will like, is it simplifies record keeping. So you don't have to say, oh, where's that bloody photo I took? That one that looks really awesome. Or, oh, was it, what did we do exactly? Was it 298 or was it 422? Where's that piece of paperwork? It's auto-synced in the photos. Your photos are auto-synced, and they're set up to benchmark indicators, and there's a description of what those indicators are. You have to select, what are we trying to look at this site? It's not just taking a photo, what are we doing? And we've put a big drop box in there, which you can pick multiple choices if you want, but you've got to say, this is what we think success is like. So you've got a big old trees, like, maybe the thing you're after is getting some natural regen. Or, for example, you've got a particular plant that you want to expand, that's what we're looking for. Or we're doing some assisted re-veg, and we'll basically take a photo where we've put out those trails or where we've done things. And you can actually say, are we getting anywhere with this? Are we actually succeeding? And to fail is not, it's not a great thing, but we can learn from that. And we can say, that isn't working, we need to do this. It's time to go now, right. Okay, last one. Users. Local councils managing native, these are ones we think here. Natural reserves and roadsides, local and statewide environmental groups, bush regenerators, land care. We're currently negotiating with New South Wales Land Care across the state for Covram. Individual land managers looking to more sustainably manage their land. Traditional owners to build capacity and foster caring for country outcomes. I'd love to tell you about an awesome project we've got going at a place called Gayini, where the Nari Nari Tribal Council are using Covram to monitor 88,000 hectare property. And state government agencies to facilitate improvement in land management operations and outcomes. So the go is, it's just go to your app store, put in Covram, and it'll all be there. And if you want to see the web, go to the web, covram.com.au. We'll probably sit around here if people got any questions they want to see how it works. And afterwards, if people come up to me and there's a bit of interest, after knock-off, we'll go to a local park and we'll do a Covram for one of the Yarra parks, just in walking distance here. Thank you. Sorry, who was that? How much does it cost? It's absolutely free at the moment. The app will always be free. However, there is always a however. The actual management of data, and at this, we're looking at $1 per site over a certain number of sites.
How do you fund that?
I've got big pockets. We owe no one anything. So for me, it's a legacy project.
How do you fund that into the future?
That's, believe it or not, we were at Collins Street yesterday, but that isn't the point. The point is we will be looking at a subscription model, and we're trying to, because we want to become the Australian standard, because it's going to rely on lots and lots of people doing it. It cannot be a boutique thing. It just won't be successful otherwise.
Massive thanks to our forum sponsors: City of Yarra, DNA Training, Arbour Green, Merry Creek Management Committee, Ecological Consultants Association Victoria, Stantec Australia, Global Green Environmental, NRM Jobs, and Nature Links. Arbour promotes the study and practice of ecological restoration and fosters and encourages effective management of Australia's natural areas by qualified people based on sound ecological principles. Join us to help promote good work practices, to strengthen our industry and network with like-minded people. Thanks for visiting Regen TV. Call by again soon for more restoration content you can trust.